Hamlet's Madness Exploration. John Richter.
Alan Reed.
Joey the Diesel Cam.
Keith Jarrett.
Alright, so for Hamlet's Madness, we decided that it's all an act and that Hamlet is actually just a sane person who is acting insane. We will discuss why we thought this and we will explain with textual information. We also looked through one of the critical lenses of Freud, the Freudian lens. We decided that Freud was motivated in his desire to be with Ophelia. And in the end, we officially decided this because Hamlet played a calm, cool, and collected role.
In Act 1, Scene 5, Hamlet proclaims, "How strange or odd soe'er I bear myself, as I perchance hereafter shall think meet to put an antic disposition on." This quote's basically explaining how Hamlet faked all of his acts of madness to kind of confuse everybody and lead him away from the trail in order to disconcert the king and his attendants, calm them down, make sure everything's not as wacky as it seems.
Our first quote from Act 2, Hamlet says, "Denmark's a prison. After his friends disagree, he continues, Why then, 'tis none to you, for there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. To me it is a prison." This quote displays Hamlet's ability to think logically and how he is able to think clearly about his situation and realizes, like his friends, that Denmark really isn't as bad of a place, but that to him, the more he thinks about it, it's more just a prison in his mind, because that's how he feels, but he knows in reality it is not that bad. The second quote from an outside source is from Polonius, and when talking about Hamlet's actions and words, he said that they have a method to them. This displays that Polonius, although when he's talking to Hamlet is at times confused, he sees the reasoning and logic in Hamlet's actions and words.
When it comes to Hamlet faking his madness, Act 3 is kind of the cream of the crop of the entire book. In multiple ways, it demonstrates his madness beautifully and flawlessly with brilliantly written prose. First, Gilden Stem describes Hamlet's hysteria as a crafty madness, which means Hamlet's been he knows what's going on. He's been faking this for some purpose, just to fool others, and there's a method behind his literal madness. Hamlet also says, "I must be idle, and I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft," which means even though he's not actually mad on the outside, some may consider his plot of faking being mad as crazy or something that only a madman would do, but on the outside, he's not actually mad, just faking it. And then finally, we get the perspective of somebody other than Hamlet, when Claudius says, "His actions, although strange, do not appear to stem from madness," which just again relates to Hamlet's big guise of putting on this big show in order to trick others. But as Claudius demonstrates, not everybody is fooled, and some people are even starting to wise up and figure out what's really going on here.
So in Act 4, we kind of struggled finding some quotes, but after further analysis, we realized that Scene 4 and lines 26-28, and actually events after it, but specifically in lines 26-28, 2,000 souls and 20,000 ducats. This is the impostume of much wealth and peace. So basically the reason why we argue that this is why Hamlet's madness was an act, because when he was talking to the captain of the ship, he displays very cognizant and rational thinking. And he realizes that even though that Fortinbras is going to war over useless land, he's defending his pride. And through this, he deduces that he is also going to defend his honor and his family's honor. And this is just kind of a sane thought process that we thought an insane person couldn't connect those dots and draw those conclusions. So we just use these things as evidence as to why Hamlet was not mad and was also just putting on an act. Because the captain is not related in any means to the plot that Hamlet is going to be involved in. So he's displaying this rational thinking because he isn't afraid to do so.
Act 5, Scene 1, lines 294 to 296. Dost thou come here to whine, to outface me with leaping in her grave? Be buried quick with her, and so I will. In this quote, Hamlet is talking with Laertes about what he would go do for Ophelia. How he would go to the ends of the earth for her. And this shows that the entire time throughout the novel, Hamlet's been thinking about Ophelia. And then in lines 215 to 217, he says, "And you must needs have heard how I am punished with sore distraction." In this quote, Hamlet says how he's not necessarily mad, but rather that he's suffering from a sore distraction.